So we've created the little girl, Boo, which is the main character of this illustration. So now we're going to move on to the next one, which is the actual snail that she's holding. Now to start us off, we may as well just go and create a cube. And what I'm going to do is just delete most of that. So we've just got a plane, essentially. So you might be easier for you to just create a polygon plane. And what we're going to do with this is we're just going to block out the shape, the spiral shape of the shell. I just turn off soft selection, which I had on by accident. So we'll say that's the middle. We're just going to extrude some edges out. We'll subdivide that so we can see what it looks like smoothed. Like so, and we're just going to, let's rotate that slightly. We're just going to pull these around very quickly just to get the main shape which we want. And we're going to try and pair these up with the corresponding vertices on the other side, and you'll see why we're going to do that in a minute. Don't worry about problems like this because they'll disappear. So again, that could probably pair up with that, and then this could pair up with that one. So we'll just pull these around just to smooth this out. Like that. Again, just pair these up. Just bring it right round till we get to about here. So this will be the top of the shell. The spiral will come out around and down here. So I'll just pull that around there, so that will join up with that one. This will join up with the opening. Now again, it looks a bit messy, but we will fix that now. So now we're just going to go in and bridge these holes here. Bridge that one, bridge that one. Essentially just filling in the gaps, bridge those, and then finally we will fill that one in. Now we have those filled in, we can just go in again and just tweak this shape a bit more just to get something we're a bit more happy with. So as you can see there, we've sort of built in the spiral in the middle. What we're going to do now is just create a cut right around the middle. Then we'll come back into our perspective view, give that some depth so we can just see where it is in relation to everything else. Now going back into the side view, we can just, now we can see it in 3D, we can work on this a bit more. We can maybe collapse some of these edges in here to tidy this up. Maybe made one edge too much. That's fine in there. So again, let's just pull these around just to get a better shape. And just like with Boo, the little girl, it's all about just getting in the main topology, and then when you're happy with that, you can just play around until you get a better shape that you need. So that's very rough, the side of the shell. What we're going to do now is just give the top some depth as well. So I'll just come down here, extrude and pull that back. We also need to leave an opening, so I'm just going to delete this polygon at the bottom So here we have the area that's open. There we have the spiral of the shell. Just smooth shade that. Hide that wireframe. As you can see, we've started to build in this spiral here. Again, it's only basic, but then again, this is for an illustration. It's not for any sort of super high detailed snail model, sorry. So what we can probably do is join that up with there. Let's see what that does. That gives us a little curl there, which works quite nicely. And again, we can go back into the side view, maybe subdivide it one more time. And again, just play around with these shapes to get a nice flow of that spiral in the center. Pull these up, and this can come up like so. Like that. So we've got a nice curve going on there. This being the entrance here. What I'll do is we want a bit more geometry in here, so I'm just going to create a cut from there down to the bottom here. That'll just give us an extra bit of geometry to play around with. Just like that. So we've got one half of the shell. So let's just move that over so it's on this grid line here, and we'll just mirror that. And as you can see there, we've just got a basic shell shape with a nice curve in the middle, this nice coil here, and we can just adjust these if we want to make that a bit deeper, and maybe widen the top slightly here. Like that. But you can play around with the shape now with that until you get something closer resembling what you want. And at the bottom here, we'll just give this opening some depth as well. Scale that out just to give it a little bit of a lip. Something like that anyway. But moving on, say we've got the shell created, we now want to create the snail that lives in this shell. Just move that up above the grid. Lift this up slightly, because this is going to be where he's peeking out. So we've got a curve there. So again, we'll just start with a cube. Subdivide that a couple of times, and then it's just extruding out his shape. Like so, just build a basic head. So that will be where his head will be. Then we've got his tail down here. But we need the bottom area here to be flattened off slightly. So we will just select these areas around the bottom and bevel them, and that flattens off the bottom area of the snail. That will be the area which moves along the ground. Like that. What I'll do is I'll just create a cut down the middle, and we'll see if symmetry will turn on for this. That's it. So again, we can just adjust these shapes to get a snail shape. Just smooth shade that so we can see. Just smooth the sides. Smooth. Like that. Like that. That just smooths him off. We'll just get hold of his tail here. Pull that back and then squash the top to create the point of his tail. We'll need to adjust the shell at the back slightly to fit there, but this will do for now. And then just bring that out to point it. So we need to create his antennae now. What we'll do is we will bevel this at the top, and then that will allow us to extrude these areas out and pull them up, because these have been separated. So now we can merge these again, just to close those off and get rid of those triangles. And then we've got the start of the antennae. So again, we can just extrude these, pull them up and back, scale those in just to get the shape. Oops. And then soften that off. And we can use these antennae in a way to show expressions, because the snails, even though he's got eyes, well, he will have eyes like the little girl character has, just button eyes. You can't really express emotion with those. So what we'll probably do is have these sagging down, like when because he's sad. He's been picked up by this little girl and he's no idea what's going to happen. So he's a bit scared. So we could maybe have these folded down to show that he's scared. So you get the idea with the snail there. We've blocked out the shape. We've created his shell. What I'll do is I will load in one that I've worked on a little bit more, just to show you where I've taken it. So here's the one that I've tweaked just a little bit more. I've added in the button eyes, and that'll just tie it in with the style of Boo. We've got the snail body, we've got his tail sticking out, and the shell there sits nicely on his body. What I've also done is I've also beveled this edge here just to harden that edge just a little bit more. It just adds to the style, and continued this down and round here, and that should catch the light nicely. Now you're probably wondering why I bother beveling these edges when you can just crease them. That's mainly because this will be exported and taken into another application, and by doing that you will lose any crease information, so you'll end up having to put that back in. By using a bevel instead, it means when you smooth this later on, it will keep those creases in, so you don't need to add them in later. And also with a bevel, you can sometimes get a lot nicer light on the curves rather than a crease, which can sometimes be a bit harsh. So that's the snail creation. There are some other bits of scenery which I need to build, but to be honest, they're just leaves and stones and things, quite basic shapes. So I'll probably build those separately, and then we can examine those in a future video. For now, continue with your snail. Do any more work on the Boo character that you want to, and then we can proceed to the next stage, which will be to bring them in both into the same scene and start to pose Boo so that she's holding the snail and kneeling on the floor like in the concept image.